In this video, we're going to be rationalizing the denominators before simplifying the surd as and when we need to. Now, the question typically will ask you to rationalize the denominator, but technically this is part and parcel of the simplifying process with surds. You can never leave a fraction with a surd on its denominator. So the same way that you'd be expected to simplify a fraction such as 3 over 6 to become 1 over 2 by default, you would eventually be expected to know that we cannot leave these fractions while they have a surd in the denominator. The way to rationalize a denominator that has only one term like this is to simply multiply top and bottom by the surd itself. So in this case, we multiply top and bottom by root 5 for the first one, giving us a 3 root 5 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. There's nothing more that can be simplified in that fraction now. Our denominator is rational, so we're done. Next one, we're going to multiply top and bottom by root 7 in order to make the denominator rational. Careful with the top. If there's more than one term, you're going to have to put brackets in. When we break out these brackets, we'll end up with a 5 root 7 and a minus root 21. And the denominator just becomes 7. There's nothing more that can be simplified here. Root 21 and root 7 cannot be broken down, so we're done. Next one. We're going to multiply top and bottom by root 2, again being careful with the brackets. What we'll end up with here is 4 root 2 plus root 12 all over 2. Now there's a couple of things that we still need to do here. First of all, we have ended up with a surd on the top that can be simplified. That root 12 will become a root 4 root 3, which will then become a 2 root 3. So I'm just going to kind of skip to there and write everything else in. So we have a 4 root 2 plus a 2 root 3 all over 2. Now, when you have multiple terms on the top or bottom of a fraction, you want to try and see if anything can be factored out in terms of being able to cancel stuff down. So both the top and the bottom, so both the terms on the top, they have a common factor of 2, and if we take that out, what you will end up with is that that 2 can cancel with the 2 on the bottom. So actually, by the time you've broken this fraction down and got our final answer, there is no fraction. 2 root 2 plus root 3 is our solution. For the next one, you can multiply top and bottom by 2 root 6 if you want, but you don't have to. It's just the surd part that needs to be multiplied by. So because multiplying by root 6 is simpler than multiplying by 2 root 6, then I'm going to choose that all day long. So multiply at the top by root 6. 3 root 2 times root 6 will give us 3 root 12. The next term, 5 root 3 times root 6 will become a 5 root 18 with a negative before it. The denominator now, when we do 2 times root 6 times root 6, these two will become a 6, and then when we multiply that by 2, that's going to become 12 on the bottom. Then, on the top, we have two surds that can be simplified. We have both the root 12 and root 18 that can be simplified. The root 12 is going to become a root 4 root 3, which will then become a 3 times 2 root 3, which will eventually become a 6 root 3, which I'm just going to write down here. Then we have our negative 5 root 18. Root 18 is going to become root 9 root 2, which will then become a 3 root 2, so a 5 times 3 root 2, and that leaves us with a negative 15 root 2. And then we've still got that 12 that's on the bottom of the fraction. Now, what we've ended up with here, there's still some simplifying that can be done in the fraction itself. The top has a common factor of 3, so we can take that out, leaving us with 2 root 3 minus 5 root 2. And that 3 will cancel with our 12 on the bottom to give us a 1 over 4. So our final answer, putting over here, will be 2 root 3 minus 5 root 2 all over